Alright, this is the study guide for the linear function unit test. Number 1 says write the equation represented by the graph. Identify the slope and y-intercept. When you are doing these, the first thing you have to do is locate your y-intercept. That is where it crosses the y-axis. So my b, or my y-intercept, is positive 3. Next, I'm going to pick a point to the left of that point. It has to be on a crosshair. To get from this point to this point, we're going to go down 2 over 1. Negative 2 over 1. That simplifies to negative 2. Then I write the equation. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals negative 2x plus 3. Number 2 crosses the y-intercept at negative 1. To get from this point to this point, we go up 1, to the right 3. So y equals 1/3 x minus 1. Number 3 says to identify each equation as either a linear function or a nonlinear function. If it's linear, identify the slope and y-intercept. If it's nonlinear, explain what makes it a nonlinear function. So to look at each of these, our first one is y equals negative 11 over 53x plus 1/5. If it's a linear function, that means it can be written in slope-intercept form. This one is in slope-intercept form. So my slope is negative 11 over 53. My y-intercept is 1/5. This is linear. The second one, we have a square root symbol, a radical symbol, then that means that the square root of 4 means what times itself is 4. I'm just plugging in a random number. 2 times 2 is 4, but negative 2 times negative 2 is also 4. So this is going to have 2 different answers. That's going to be nonlinear. Anytime you have an x that has a square root sign, cube root sign, an exponent, it's in the denominator, any of those things, it's going to be nonlinear. Just like with the third one. X is in the denominator, that's nonlinear. The next one, it also has an exponent, so that's nonlinear because of the exponent for x. This one has no exponent, so it is linear. My slope is negative 5/100. My y-intercept is negative 25/100. The last one is nonlinear because of the exponent. Identify each equation as either linear function or nonlinear function. If it's linear, write the equation for the table in slope-intercept form. The first one, we're going up 1 each time for our x, and we're subtracting 3 each time for our y. So our slope is negative 3. That means that it is linear because it has a constant rate of change. To find the equation, first we look to see if x has a 0 in the table. It does not. So we need to pick an ordered pair to plug in. All we're doing is plugging in for y equals mx plus b. The y that I chose is being plugged in for y. My slope is being plugged in for my slope. The x that goes with that y is being plugged in for the x. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Bring everything else down. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So y equals negative 3x plus 0. Adding 0 does not change it, so we are going to leave that as y equals negative 3x. The next one, we're adding 2 each time for our x's. To get from 8 to 2, we subtract 6. 2 minus 6 is not 1/2, so this is nonlinear. Alright, on the back, the tables on the back, we're doing the same thing. We are increasing 1 each time for our x's. And we're going up 6 each time for our y's. So this is linear because our rate of change, or our slope, is 6 over 1, which simplifies to 6. To find the y-intercept, first thing we do is look and see if x gives us a 0. It does. So my y-intercept is when x is 0, y is 9. So y equals 6x plus 9. For the second one, I am increasing by 6 each time. To get from 1 to 4, I add 3. 4 plus 3 is not 9, so that one is nonlinear. The next one, I'm adding 1 each time. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. That's 4 over 1, which simplifies to 4. That is linear. Look to see if x gives you a 0. It does. When x is 0, y is 1. So y equals 4x plus 1. For the next one, I'm going up 5 each time. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 2 is not 9. So that is nonlinear. It does not have a constant rate of change. If it does not have a constant rate of change, it is not going to be a linear function. For the next one, 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. 6 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 is negative. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Negative 2 plus 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. My slope is 2 over 2, or 1. So that's linear. Look to see if x is 0. I do not have a 0, so I'm going to have to plug in a point. I'm going to choose 5, negative 6. Negative 6 equals 1 times 5 plus b. 1 times 5 is 5. Bring everything else down. Subtract 5. And my y-intercept is negative 11. So y equals 1x, which is x, minus 11. For the next one, 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. Let's check to see if the y changes at the same rate. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 4 over negative 2 and 4 over negative 1 is not going to change consistently, so that is nonlinear because there is not a constant rate of change. Alright, number 5, use the points negative 2, 4 and negative 6, 8 to determine the equation of the line. First thing we do is find the slope, y minus y, over x minus x. If I pick 8 first, I have to pick negative 6 first to go on the bottom. 8 minus 4 is 4. Negative 6 minus negative 2, add the opposite, that's going to be negative 4. 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1, that is my slope. To find my y-intercept, pick one of the points, it does not matter which one, and plug it into y equals mx plus b. I'm going to pick negative 2, 4. Y equals m times x plus b. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. So y equals m is negative 1 plus my y-intercept is 2. Let's do that again on number 6. We have y minus y over x minus x. 6 minus 0 is 6. 4 minus 0 is 4. That simplifies to 3 halves. One of the points gives me when x is 0, so I just look for the y coordinate when x is 0. that means my y-intercept is 0. So y equals 3/2 x. Because putting plus 0 is not going to change the equation, so I'm just going to leave that as y equals 3/2 x. Number 7 is giving me the equation, so I'm just going to plug these numbers into y equals mx plus b in order to figure out what the y-intercept is. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Bring everything else down. Add 8 to both sides. Negative 3 plus 8 is 5. And now I can write my equation, y equals negative 2x plus 5. Same thing with number 8. I'm given my slope and a point, so I'm going to plug that in. Y equals mx plus b. Half of 6 is 3. Subtract 3 from both sides. My y-intercept is negative 5. So y equals 1/2 x minus 5.